Hello, welcome to World Talks from the Arctic Frontiers Conference in Tromsø, Norway. I'm Adam Jassek. Energy security is a key topic here this year, given Europe's dependency on energy imports. Norway and other Nordic nations have been at the forefront of diversifying their energy supplies away from fossil fuels and towards renewables. I'm joined now by Marit Vambheim, Director at Energi Nord, a business cluster based in the region. Marit, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, if I understand, energy transition is a hot topic here, but at the same time, everyone is focusing on hard security these days, on traditional oil and gas supply, so in a sense, it's back in vogue. What does it mean for Norway's and other Nordic countries' renewable strategy?
Yes, two biggest issues and biggest problems for the Nordics and the Northern Nordics right now is, of course, the climate changes and the huge threat that climate changes is already and will be in the future. And the second thing for the Northern Nordics and the Arctic region is the demographics, really. The declining demographics and people moving out of the region, which really leaves our societies vulnerable, and we lack people to do the most basic things like teachers and nursing and doctors. It's a big problem also for creating new industry and new development. So of course we need to find a way out of the oil and gas era and find a way to transform our energy system to a more secure one and more stable and not reliant on fossil fuels. And it's a big topic in the Northern Nordics every day. Yeah.
In mainland Europe, so to speak, Norway is exactly important because it can provide the fossil fuels. Europe has diversified away from Russia, from Russian supplies. It has become sort of dependent on LNG exports, and here comes Norway with its supplies to Europe. Almost 1/3 of Europe's supply comes from Norway. Do you think this means that exploration and gas and oil production in Norway will be increasing in the coming years?
Yes, I think at least in Norway it's a contribution to increased support for the oil and gas industry. Remember, in the whole of Norway, oil and gas is it depends on how you count, of course, but in some accounts it's up to 60% of our revenues on state.
Economy.
Yeah, and that means first and foremost that it's very important for the income of many households in the whole of the country. So we are in a dilemma in Norway where a lot of people are dependent on and then really supporters of the oil and gas industry, of course, because it's so important. But we also need to find a way. We know it's a transition right now. We need to find a way to get these incomes to the households and to the country after the oil and gas is over.
And how the local communities view this? I mean, are they, presumably some of the local communities up in north also benefit from the growth in the oil and gas industry, but at the same time they're very environment conscious. So how does it play out?
Well, in the north it's quite diverse, really, because some local communities have a very good income from the oil and gas industry, but it's quite restricted to the communities and regional municipalities where you have a lot of activity. And then you have some communities where you have no connection with the oil and gas industry in the daily life. In these communities you have typically a lot of support for tourism and sustainability and in some cases green energy, but the renewable energy sector is not very popular at the moment because...
Why is that?
It's kind of a tricky question, but and it's a puzzle for me to understand as well. But I think it's because we have, of course, a lot of interests in preserving the nature. And we know that especially the land-based wind farms, they do consume some nature, and we need to set aside nature areas for these wind farms if we're going to build them.
And so you're saying there's popular opposition to wind farms, for example?
Yes, we haven't had. We have hardly had any new renewable energy building in the northern Norway for 5, 6, 7 years. And it's because it's a lot of resistance in the local communities.
But pardon me for asking this, but why is wind energy so important in your energy mix? If I understand correctly, Norway always has a lot of hydropower.
Yes, but in spite of this, 50% of our energy used in Norway is still fossil fuels. So we
50%.
have 50%, yes. So we have a long way to go before we can say that we are not abundant on the oil and gas industry. And we have high emissions per capita in Norway. So we need to cut emissions. And if we're going to cut emissions and at the same time preserve our existing industry and our workforce, we have to transform, and we need new energy. And of course, as long as we don't build any new, we have to import it, and it's quite a dilemma.
So we're talking here primarily about electricity,
Yes.
Or are you talking about all other sources of energy?
Well, of course, we have to have different sources, and we have to have different energy carriers. Hydrogen is big in both Sweden and Finland. In Norway, also hydrogen has been a bit less popular and less in the talk the last years. And I think it's connected to the same issue that we need to produce the hydrogen from other energy, preferably renewables, and the resistance against renewables is very hard. And of course, in the northern Norway, we also have Sami people and a lot of
the local
indigenous culture
communities.
Yes, and that is also they have rights to the land and to preserving their culture and language and way of living. And it's
so
not
are these
easy
communities
to find.
less open to renewable energy, for example? Are they more traditional in their outlook?
At least the most traditional Sami cultures and Sami communities, we see a lot of resistance. And of course it's because of the land issue. When you see in Tromsø, we have a lot of wildlife and a lot of woods and mountains, but they are in use already. Even though it looks like a pasture, it's not empty. They are used for reindeer husbandry and for a lot of activity, and especially from the local community, both the Samis and other. And people in the north really love the way of living that we have already. So the changes are more difficult to agree on.
Marit, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching, and see you later for more news and analysis.